Okay, we say welcome, Yvonne Mundih Mbuu,
Thank you.
originally from Camerun in West Africa, but now living in Minnesota in the United States of America. So welcome to this talk with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, and you are so welcome. And now it is so exciting because you are also a co-author in the book Stormborn.
Yes.
Yes, and in your chapter, you're going to tell more about your life story and what brought you to this moment. But please, Yvonne, tell us more about you and your life story.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's very exciting, and I'm really super excited about my life journey and my story in Stormborn, because writing has always been part and parcel of me, and how to write and how to publish was what was a little difficult for me. But luckily, they asked me to be in Stormborn, and this is my very, very first book that I'm co-authoring in, and it's wonderful, and I'm grateful. Yes, I was born in Cameroon, and I moved here very young to go to school. So then I decided to stay through marriage, and I have my wonderful son, but I'm a mother of 10, 9 adopted children from my 2 late brothers and my 1 biological son. So I am so excited to be in Stormborn and to let the world know about me and my story, because I feel and I know that my story will change lots of lives, especially children that went through what I was going through, even women, because it has to do a lot with women and children, because that was the story of my mother and her children. So my story came about as a result of the fact that at the age of 11, my father forced me to marry a 38-year-old man against the pleas and cries of my mother, against my own wishes. So I didn't know what marriage was, but I accepted. But my grandmother fought so hard that it will not happen, that I will have to be educated, just like my biological father's children. And so this started with my mother. My mother got married at the age of 16. And within 2 years gave birth to twin girls. And shortly after, her husband was wrongfully taken away from her. And while she was still breastfeeding, my biological father raped my mom in the filthiest of places. When that happened, my mom got pregnant with me. And now he began to seize all the properties that belonged to my mom's late husband, demolish my mom's home. We were rendered homeless. And she forced my mom to live in his compound among his wives with other children that were around my mother's age. So that is how the beginning of my life story started. When that marriage was refused, I was abused, and I was left to die of hunger. I was sent away to live in the bush, which I lived in the bush quite several times by my father, because he wouldn't want me to live in his compound, because my grandmother refused that I should not get married. And so that is how it started. I graduated from primary school. They refused to send me to school, and I was made to work and work like a slave for my father and his wife and his children. So my mother ended up having 9 children of her own. All of us were being abused. And 2 of my brothers, they passed from severe depression. And then 2 other brothers, they are still living, but they have indulged in alcoholism to try to dull their pain. But things are just getting a little worse. But I'm still happy that they're alive. One of the only little sister that I knew passed at the age of 7 because of abuse. She was beaten and made to do things that were above her age, and she developed a stroke and she passed. And so it was just a whole lot. And during that time that I was undergoing all of this, you know, my mother was always on the run for her dear life. One time, my father loaded a gun to go shoot my mother. And God forbid, my mother was already removed from the scene. She was not home. So it was from one abuse situation to the other for me and my brothers. And so, but I was determined that I will go to school. I love to read and write. And every day, even now, I read and write. I was determined that I will go to school like the other children. So the whole community, the village came together to educate me because I was a letter writer of the village. I like to write letters for the parents and take them to mail them. I was a courier. And I like to cook. So I cook for the old and then I cook for the young. I like to do community work like cleaning around the tap area and also cleaning the roads and sweeping the road, making sure that things were clean, because I was taught that in order to overcome difficulties in your life, you have to step out to help other people who are going through difficulties. So my grandmother employed a Sunday school teacher who was teaching us all the time. So I grew up with the Bible in my hands. And so that is how I started doing all those things. But then through all this abuse, I thought maybe if I marry, my father might like me. And I got married, but the marriage was not good either. Within 1 year, it was dissolved. It was very abusive. And I sat for some time and I said, you know what, I will get married again. It didn't still work. And by then I was an adult. I'm like, you know what, I have to learn to love myself. So I acquired education. I got 2 to 3 certifications from school, and I worked hard through all of this. And thank God that I was now in the United States and I had to learn how to do things with nobody to abuse me, with the laws put in place to go against people that abuse children. Even though there is still abuse in the United States, but the law is there that protects the child and the mother. That I didn't have that opportunity in Cameroon. So during the time that I was going through all of this, there were other children too that were going through what I was going through. One of the little girls died at the age of 8. She was just almost like my sister. My mom tried to adopt that little girl. They refused, she died. So being here now, as opposed to when I was in Cameroon, when I write, they will seize my things and throw them away. I have scars all over my body from abuse. They will seize my writings and burn them or throw them away. But now I have the opportunity to write and to tell my story and to advocate. What really harms me a lot is the death of that little girl that died. And when I think about my brothers, they didn't deserve to go through all of that. And I thought, you know, comparing living in 2 worlds, Cameroon and the United States, I realized that the problem facing women and children are universal. They are all over the world. And so if I don't stand up to tell my story, then nobody can tell it. And somebody might be in one corner of the world waiting for that voice of hope, waiting for something to read that can help them with their situation. So that is what made me to write my story. I want people to hear my story because even right here, I see a lot of little children being abused a lot in the United States, and that is not okay. Women are abused. I know that men too are abused, but more so the woman and the child stands to suffer. And so I have been doing little things to try to help, especially single mothers. When they have babies, I open little accounts for them, no matter how small it is, because my thinking is that when that child gets to be 20, 21 or 22, they will have at least something to start life with. If they cannot go to school, they will have something to learn, a trade, and to do something. And so that is really what inspired me to write and to be in Stormborn. I want my story to go worldwide because there are a lot of women and children going through hell. And I'm sure you might have them also in your country. It's all over.
Of course. All over the world, there are women and children or people being abused. And I'm so happy. So why you wanted to write your story is to give other people hope.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So how can a person, a woman or a child, someone who is abused, how can they get out of the situation? What is your advice?
Well, you know, sometimes it can be very difficult because as a child, you depend on adults for everything. It can be difficult. And so a lot of times the abuser will threaten to kill you if you dare say a word. Like for me, I was threatened, and most of the time I'll sleep in the bush. I will go hungry, you know. And even the people of the village who were trying to help me, my father was a terror to the village, so they couldn't help me. So what I would say is, now that I know anybody that is going through abuse, it doesn't matter whether it's a child, a woman, or anybody, or a man, say something. Move from the situation and run away and go say something to somebody, and don't return to that situation. Because the psychology of the abuser is to brainwash you to believe that if you dare open your mouth to say something, you will be killed. But a lot of time when you say something, you won't be killed. They will take care of that situation. And you can go, sometimes you need to know who you're talking to. A lot of time you can go to people that you think they can guard you, they can protect you. Maybe sometimes the minister, the church minister. In my case, it was mostly the Sunday school a teacher, you know, who was always there for us. So there are a lot of people, or a neighbor, say something, because I'm sure there are millions of good people in the world. There are more good people than bad people. Somebody will have to protect you. And some of us who live closer to those kind of situations, we have to say something. We don't have to say, oh, it's none of my business. We are all interconnected. We are part of the same whole. God made us as one. It's just creating us, giving us different gifts that we can all expose those gifts differently. We need to say something. I cannot see somebody falling down on the road and I don't stop to do something or call 911. It is so important that we watch out for one another, especially for women and children and the older generation who cannot protect themselves.
Yes, I agree. So when you got help, then a new life started. But how could you rebuild yourself, and how can you find a new self-esteem and self-love and forgiveness and all that? How could you do it?
With me, in my case, you know, I had gone through so much so that one time, you know, I preferred to die. I wanted to really die because there was no hope for me, for my mom who is living with me now, for my brothers who are gone, and for those that are alive. I prayed to God to take me because I don't deserve to go through this. But, you know, when I prayed, I opened my eyes, I was thinking that by the time I opened my eyes, I'll be gone. I didn't go. And so I realized that, you know what, I read the Bible every day. And when I read the Bible, it gives me a lot of hope. It gives me a lot of courage. One time at my job, I started crying. I asked myself, is this the way my life is going to be? I have to do something. I picked up my phone. I started Googling information seminars, because it's only through information that you can try to start learning how to exonerate yourself, to build yourself from situations that are uncomfortable. And so I started attending seminars. I've been attending them for 6 to 7 years now. That is when I started getting information. I started going to counseling. And then I started reading books on how to start rebuilding my self-esteem, and also how to start working hard in order to become independent, and then get away from the paradigms that have been so built within me in my head, to know that, you know what, if that person can be successful, if that person is happy, I too can be happy. But it takes a process to keep building, and I've been building it every day. Every day I'm doing that. It's a constant fight.
Yes, I understand that it's an ongoing process that you have to maintain, make some maintenance every day.
Right.
Yeah. So what is your tip now to other people who are sad or maybe abused, maybe now or even a long time ago, but still suffering from earlier events? What is your tip now? What are they going to do to get happy again?
You know, like we just said, it takes a process, but you know, they have to reach out. They have to ask for help. If you do not ask for help, you will stay where you are. You will be blinded to believe that there is nothing that can change their situation. I know that it's difficult even to just tell the stories. to even tell somebody that you have a problem. A lot of people are ashamed what people will think about them or what people will say about them. For me, now that I know, I will tell people, because whatever somebody thinks, say about you is none of your business. I had to begin to build my thoughts because I was so much concerned about what people would think and say about me. But now I am a very happy woman. I don't care who says what, and that gives me some relief to know that it is not what somebody say or thinks about me that matter. It is what I say and think about myself that matters. People need to reach out for help. You are there. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help. I am a behavior analyst, a part-time with the county that I work. I concentrate on talking to people because talking to people is very important, and they need to read. Ask for help, read books that will uplift your spirits. Listen to tapes and audios, listen over and over, because the moment you deviate from reading, asking for help, or listening to motivational things, those thoughts, those voices will come back and start telling you that you're nothing. You will never amount to anything. Like I was told, I believed for some time that I would never amount to anything. But I now realize that all those things were lies. They should reach out for help. They should read. They should attend seminars. They should listen to tapes that will uplift their spirit. And they should start writing down their thoughts. I journal every single day. Write down your thoughts, whether they are good or bad. Everything will all come together for our own good if you write everything down. That is, you're writing your life story. Tomorrow, you will go back and refer, and that it relieves. Walk, admire nature, and be grateful. Walk, take your dog for a walk. Go look at the flowers, smell the flowers, listen to the birds singing. All of those things are things that I do. Do some deep breathing. I do all of those things. Otherwise, I will not be here speaking to you. There are a lot of resources. Reach out. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Such a strong message. It's very, very wise of you to say that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I also think it's very important to reach out when you're feeling bad, when you're feeling sad, or if you're grieving or in mourning or anything, that we need each other, all people around the world. So it's a very, very strong message and so wise of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now I wish you very good luck with your publishing. I'm looking forward to reading your chapter in the book Stormborn.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And is there anything more you would like to say or ask?
Thank you so much for taking that time to interview me. It takes somebody with a very good heart to listen to things like this, because I, for one, I don't like listening to something that is negative, but I'm forced to, because you would need to help people. It takes a very good heart to try to interview people who have gone through some things in their lives. And I really want to thank you and continue to do what you're doing. You're changing millions of lives without even knowing what you're doing. So I was wondering, with the podcast, I don't know anything about podcasts. I don't know how it goes. So I don't know what it is all about.
We will see. I hope that your words will spread out all over the world. And I will teach you more about podcasts later.
Okay,
But
thank you.
for now, I'm very grateful for our talk, and I wish you the best, the very best, and very much good luck with your publishing. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yvonne.
Anna. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.